We'll now turn the floor to NRCDV's Vice President of Programs and Prevention, Arlene Vassell, who leads the Transforming the Gender-Based Violence Movement, Increasing BIPOC Representation and Actualizing Accountability Project, formerly named the Women of Color and Coalition Leadership Project. But before Arlene begins, I would like everyone to join me in wishing Arlene a happy birthday. She will be celebrating her birthday this weekend. So if everyone could join me in the chat and just wish Arlene a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Arlene. Yay.
Listen. Mm, thank you, everybody. Oh, Lolita, that wasn't in the script that we shared with all staff members. Okay. You went off script, but okay. Thank you all so much for all the birthday greetings. I am so full. Yes, Renee, Virgo's rule. I'm sorry that distracted me. I am so full from yesterday and then from Zoe and Tara and Michelle. Thank you all so much for your truth telling. Like, so much that you talked about resonated with me. It's like my life, right? It's like the last 25 years of me working in the movement just like flashed in front of me. And, and Zoe, like you said, like healing, like it's so important because for me, humor, joy, and healing has kept me here and will keep me here. And I'll bring Elisa's words back into the space as we continue to speak, right? Um, we, I want to say Black women, women of people of color, we are the greatest gift to this work. And I'm gonna start with that. Whew, we are the greatest gift to this work. And we need to hold that and embrace that and love upon ourselves. And before I jump into just briefly talking about the work that NRCDV is doing, I just want to shout out my colleagues in this space, especially the People of Color Caucus, Onwards Together. We have, oh, so many amazing women of color, people of color, Black women on staff. So I just want to shout out the People of Color Caucus because without your support, I don't know if I would be here and continue in this movement. I've had my moments of wanting to leave, and my consulting business actually came from those moments. And I still continue with my consulting business because it's the plan B, right? So for right now, all is well. All is well at the National Resource Center on Domestic Violence. But I do need to and feel the need and the urge to acknowledge the People of Color Caucus, my sisters that I work alongside every day. So, with that being said, Michelle, I had asked Casey if I could read your words of wisdom that you shared because I feel like that's where we're at right now. And that's the call to action. Everyone put out call to actions throughout the last 2 days. But before I jump into what NRCDV is doing, I do want to bring your words back into this space, Michelle, because I think it's a concrete call to action for everybody that's here. Our movement cannot continue to perpetuate historic legacies of erasure, invisibility, and violence against Black women and women of color. We must promote and illuminate past and present day achievements, contributions, Black excellence, and leadership. We have no other choice in our present if our present is to become a liberated and anti-racist future. Let me read that last sentence again. We have no other choice if our present is to become a liberated and anti-racist future. I want to also lift up what Zoe talked about regarding hurting, being harmed, and being supported. And for me, again, I experienced both, right? Being supported and being harmed simultaneously. Um, Oftentimes by non-Black individuals, but sadly, sometimes, by my Black colleagues, who are trying to navigate a system that is not designed by default for them to thrive. And as many speakers talked about before, are in this cycle of also perpetuating white supremacy. So again, healing is so very important. Working on my healing in order to support others. And again, just echoing much of what Zoe talked about, where we have to heal, we have to do our work in order for us to show up for others. So at NRCDV, that is one thing that we are focusing on is wellness for staff members. And after all of the presentations, my point today is just having a conversation about what is our role at NRCDV. As a national organization, Tara talked about women of color being in mainstream organizations, right? So what is our role as a national organization to dismantle anti-Blackness and white supremacy that we know exists in our movement? It has existed for decades, at least for the last 20 plus years that I've been in this movement. It has existed. At NRCDV, we're still trying to figure that out, but we are definitely committed to shifting power and taking risk. We create spaces like this for action oriented, bold, courageous, and unapologetic conversations and strategic planning and holding individuals accountable. I want you to know that in these spaces, we are listening, we are learning, we are adjusting, and we are pivoting. We are doing the internal work while simultaneously showing up externally. Our internal work currently consists of examining existing policies and practices that are not equitable, examining our hiring practices, intentionally focusing on wellness and spaciousness. We currently have a leadership team comprised of 4 women of color, including 2 Black women, myself and Lalitha Marshall, who was our MC and threw me off with the birthday wishes. Our new board chair is a Black woman. We currently have, I think I checked it right, 16 staff members who self-identify as people of color with varying experience in the gender-based violence. We recently hired our Director of Racial Equity and Social Change, Jacqueline Miller, her pronoun queen. You all heard that. Whose main role is to oversee the implementation of our Racial Equity Action Plan. Jacqueline continues to stretch us, challenge us, support us, and encourage us to be better and do better. We also hired our Director of Community Engagement, LaVon Morris Grant, who a part of LaVon's responsibility is to deepen our relationship with survivors in diverse communities and expand our engagement with thought leaders in communities. Keyword, in communities. So as a national organization, in communities, LaVon, yes. And primarily communities and individuals that have been traditionally marginalized. As you all may know, the struggle is real, especially for a leadership team of 4 women of color, internal and external. My colleagues know I don't sugarcoat. So internal and external, the struggle is real, but we all stay committed to showing up and to dismantle the systems that have oppressed us for many years, AKA this movement. And again, like Tara mentioned, when I talk about what is our role, it's important for us to think about as Black women, as people of color working in a mainstream movement, we have to be intentional about how we show up. We have to be unapologetic and we have to show up without permission, right? I remember spaces where someone mentioned earlier, like you don't get invited back to the table, or people are like, yeah, let's invite Arlene. And then I get I think Tara, you said it. They're like, oh my God, why? Ooh. Oh, she's truth telling. Yes, I am. So again, we are engaging with survivors, being relational instead of being transactional. We're showing up in communities. And the one initiative that I want to highlight here, the Transforming Gender-Based Violence Movement, Increasing BIPOC Representation and Actualizing Accountability Project launch. You all know I didn't come up with that name. The group did. But after experiencing firsthand what Tara, Zoe, Michelle, Darren, Valeriana, everybody talked about over the past 2 days, this initiative brings me so much joy and it brings me so much hope. We've been for many years, at least 4 years, in deep collaboration and meaningful relationship with a diverse group of multi-generational thought leaders, all people of color, including NRCDV's People of Color Caucus, who are really passionate about everything that you heard over the last 2 days. It is a sacred space for people of color. It's definitely a healing place for many of us that's in that space. The project is led by myself and Dr. Nakira Nawalzi. And when we talk about impact, I think one immediate impact from that group that I want to share is that group members continue to say that they feel a sense of belonging to the degree of where they just feel valued, they feel heard, they feel seen, and they don't feel this anywhere else in the movement. There's an ongoing expression of gratitude in that space for us being able to purposefully develop and implement strategies that will begin to dismantle these oppressive systems that we all engage with and work with. Because it's a multi-generational space, there's a lot of mentoring and support happening in this space. One member recently shared that she shared information about the work that's happening in this space with another woman of color at a training. And that woman just felt so liberated just by hearing about the space and hearing that there is a space. So just really quickly, the initiative is intended to preserve the history and legacy of the movement, dismantle racism and white supremacy within the movement, and creating funding opportunities for women of color and femme to lead community-based initiatives. Several times you've heard about the issue that continues for decades, right? And when I think about it, like I've spent half of my life, Lolita didn't tell you how old I am, but let's say I spent half of my life in this movement that everyone has talked about over the last couple of years. So you see why this brings me so much joy. And I'm hopeful because I'm ready to pass the baton. But I don't want to pass the baton on to younger sisters by age, not by wisdom at all. And then they have to grow thick skin in order to survive and can't thrive, right? So for me, I feel like this, in addition to lots of initiatives that has happened over many decades, and Zoe dropped some resources in the chat, I feel like I'm doing my part and I'm in an organization that's supporting me being able to do my part alongside the People of Color Caucus and alongside the thought leaders. I would say about 20 thought leaders who've been consistent, very consistent with following through with this project. So the official launch is going to happen October 18th. The information is here. We will talk about our journey over the last few years. How did we get there? Much of the information that was shared over the past 2 days is information that we heard again when interviews were conducted. But again, the overrepresentation of white women in leadership positions persists, and the number of women of color remains stubbornly low. This is a structural issue, you all. If you have not heard it over the past 2 days, let me repeat. This is a structural issue that is inherently set up to fail women of color, especially Black women, and hinder our thriving. The overt lack of diversity in leadership reflects an enduring, racialized, systematic erasure of women of color. And like Michelle said, we just have to change that. The collaborative was born and sustained and continues to thrive because of sisterhood, love, passion, real joy, opportunity, meaning NRCDV's leadership, including the board, saying, yes, go forth, be great, and supporting the initiative with money so we can compensate individuals for their time and expertise, even though it's priceless, but just a token of appreciation. And one thing that I want to highlight that continues to allow the group to thrive is trust, deep trust. Within that space and trust in the process, a process that started with small beginnings, $0 actually, and the collaboration that happens in that space and the big vision. And it's not about the individuals in the space, it's about the impact in our movement. And for many of us, it's a part of our legacy. Like several presenters talked about that, right? And what is your part? And for me, this project is a piece of what I want to leave behind, and a piece of what I want to contribute, so others don't have to go through what we all talked about, what we continue to go through. And like the presenter said, it has to stop. And all the presenters are doing their part. I want you to take their resources, reach out, support, believe, drop your coins there to support and alongside the presenters. This is not in replacement of, alongside the presenters. This is what NRCDV is committed to doing. So join us for the official launch on this day. You'll learn more. You'll be able to ask questions. We'll be launching a website that is designated to the project. And we're also going to be able to provide support to the field, to women of color. The people of color, it'll be triaged through the People of Color Caucus at NRCDV. Again, we have 16 staff members who are committed to dismantling these oppressive systems that we all are a part of. I want to throw away the plan B, y'all, but I'm holding on to the plan B. I am holding on to the plan B, even though all is well. If you know me, you know me well. I'm fully transparent. What you see is what you get. And the truth is, as Black women in the movement, we've always needed a plan B. So hopefully, as a result of this project and everything else that you've heard from all the other presenters, we won't need the plan Bs. We can ditch the plan Bs, and our sisters that's taken the baton, our brothers, the people, the individuals that's taken the batons from the ones that's been doing this for a very long time, they won't need the plan B, and that's the goal. The goal is for the future, and what does our movement look like? So again, join us. I am super excited to share more. And again, I want to say thank you to all the presenters. You spoke truth. I am so full. You represented my story. I didn't have to say my story. And that's the sad part about it. Tara, Zoe, and Michelle spoke my story. So thank you all. And I look forward to you all joining the official launch.
Thank you, Arlene. And as a reminder, Reckon has shared the registration link in the chat. Before you leave today's session, be sure to complete the evaluation. Your feedback is extremely important to us. And now we'll turn the floor to our Town Hall Weaver, Renee Kim, for our closing.
Thank you so much. This has been an incredible 2 days. My heart is full. My soul feels refreshed, and my spirit is uplifted. This is beautiful. So I want to thank you so much for having me as your town weaver. And I also want to acknowledge that I understand what kind of work it is to ingest traumatic stories every day and still show up as your full self at work. It is not easy. Even if you don't do direct service, you're still around the words, you're still around the work, and you cannot help but be affected. So as I said when I opened, this work is emotional and it's joyful. So be sure to definitely take care of yourselves. And I also want to leave you with a couple things to think about. One is, does my life path reflect what I truly value? And second, how do I want to show up in the world? I want to thank you again for having me here as your town weaver, and thank all of the speakers for their powerful messages of love and liberation. I also want to thank the NRCDV staff, just fantastic and amazing and wonderful people with lots of heart, and they're fun. I would like to close with a reading by Starhawk called Dreaming the Dark. Community, somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate us whenever we come into our power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing. A circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee, and thank you all for joining us today. We hope that you leave this powerful, powerful town hall with more rich information to take back to your communities to implement in your everyday lives. Thank you for joining us, and have a great rest of your week and weekend.